You know what separates extraordinary people from ordinary people? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not circumstances, it's their ability to control their minds when everyone else is losing control of theirs. Your mind is either your greatest asset or your worst enemy. There's no middle ground here. It's either working for you or it's working against you. And here's what most people don't understand. If you're not actively controlling your mind, then your mind is controlling you. I learned this lesson the hard way, just like most valuable lessons in life. I was 25 years old, broke, and wondering why my life wasn't working out the way I wanted it to. I had dreams, I had desires, I had plans, but somehow nothing was happening the way I thought it should. And then one day a mentor of mine asked me a simple question that changed my life forever. He said, "Jim, what's going on up there?" And he pointed to his head. That question hit me like a lightning bolt. What was going on up there? What was happening in my mind every single day? I started paying attention, and what I found shocked me. My mind was like a wild horse, running in every direction except the one I wanted to go. One minute I was excited about my goals, the next minute I was worried about my bills. One moment I felt confident, the next moment I was filled with doubt. My mind was all over the place, and I wasn't driving the bus. Here's what I want you to understand. Your mind is the control center of your entire life. Everything starts there. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. It all starts with what's happening between your ears. But most people treat their minds like a garbage dump. They let any old thought wander in and make itself at home. They listen to negative people all day long. They watch depressing news. They read trashy magazines. They fill their minds with junk. And then they wonder why their lives are junk. You cannot put garbage in and expect gold to come out. It doesn't work that way. Your mind is like a garden. You can plant flowers or you can let weeds grow. But here's the thing about gardens. Something is always growing. If you don't plant flowers, weeds will grow automatically. Weeds don't need any help. They grow all by themselves. But flowers need attention. They need care. They need the right conditions. Same thing with your mind. Now, I'm not talking about some magical thinking here. I'm talking about practical reality. When your mind is focused on solutions, you find solutions. When your mind is focused on opportunities, you see opportunities. When your mind is focused on possibilities, possibilities show up. But when your mind is focused on problems, all you see are problems. When your mind is focused on what's wrong, that's all you notice. Your mind finds whatever you tell it to look for. Here's another thing I learned. An uncontrolled mind will cost you everything. It will cost you your relationships because you'll be moody and unpredictable. It will cost you your finances because you'll make emotional decisions instead of smart decisions. It will cost you your health because you'll be stressed and anxious all the time. It will cost you your dreams because you'll give up at the first sign of difficulty. I've seen brilliant people fail miserably because they couldn't control their thinking. And I've seen average people achieve extraordinary things because they learned to master their minds. The difference isn't talent. The difference isn't luck. The difference isn't background or education. The difference is mental discipline. Most people live their entire lives on mental autopilot. They react to whatever happens to them. Something good happens, they feel good. Something bad happens, they feel bad. They're like a leaf blowing in the wind, going wherever the wind takes them. They're not in control of their emotional state. They're not in control of their mental state. They're just reacting to life instead of creating life. But here's what successful people understand. You don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. You don't have to be a victim of your emotions. You don't have to be a victim of your thoughts. You can learn to choose your thoughts. You can learn to direct your mind. You can learn to control your mental and emotional state. The first step is awareness. You have to become aware of what's going on in your mind. Most people are so busy reacting to life that they never stop to notice what they're thinking about. They're on mental autopilot. and they don't even know it. But you can't change what you're not aware of. Start paying attention to your thoughts. Notice what you think about first thing in the morning. Notice what you think about throughout the day. Notice what you think about before you go to bed. Are your thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are they moving you toward your goals or away from your goals? Are they making you stronger or weaker? Here's what I discovered. Most people's minds are full of mental junk. They're worried about things that might never happen. They're angry about things that happened years ago. They're frustrated about things they can't control. They're spending their mental energy on everything except what matters most. Your mind has limited capacity. You can only think about so many things at once. So if your mind is full of worry, doubt, fear, and negative thinking, there's no room for the thoughts that could actually help you. There's no room for creative thinking. There's no room for solution thinking. There's no room for opportunity thinking. But when you clean up your mental diet, when you start controlling what goes into your mind, everything changes. When you stop feeding your mind mental junk food and start feeding it mental nutrition, your whole life transforms. Think about it this way. You wouldn't eat garbage and expect to be healthy, would you? Of course not. But most people are feeding their minds garbage every single day and wondering why they feel terrible. Your mind needs good nutrition just like your body does. What kind of books are you reading? What kind of music are you listening to? What kind of conversations are you having? What kind of TV shows are you watching? What kind of websites are you visiting? All of this is mental food. And just like physical food, mental food either makes you stronger or weaker. There's no neutral. I started asking myself better questions, and that changed everything. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me, I started asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of asking, why is life so hard, I started asking, how can I get better at handling challenges? Instead of asking, why don't I have what I want, I started asking, what do I need to do to earn what I want? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. Poor questions give you poor answers, but good questions give you good answers. Your mind is like a computer. It will give you exactly what you program it to look for. If you ask it to look for problems, it will find problems. If you ask it to look for solutions, it will find solutions. Most people ask terrible questions all day long. Why me? What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? What will people think? These questions program your mind to find evidence for all your fears and doubts. But successful people ask better questions. How can I make this work? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? What's the opportunity here? What can I learn from this? Here's another powerful strategy I learned. You must control your mental diet just like you control your physical diet. Every single day, you're feeding your mind thousands of thoughts, ideas, images, and concepts. Most people are completely unconscious about what they're putting into their mind. They'll spend 30 minutes reading labels at the grocery store to make sure they're eating healthy food, but they'll spend hours filling their minds with mental junk without giving it a second thought. Your mental diet consists of everything you expose your mind to. The books you read, the conversations you have, the music you listen to, the videos you watch, the people you spend time with. All of this becomes part of your mental nutrition. And just like physical nutrition, it either makes you stronger or weaker. There's no neutral ground here. I made a decision years ago to go on a mental diet. I stopped reading newspapers that filled my mind with problems I couldn't solve. I stopped watching TV shows that made me feel angry or depressed. I stopped having conversations with people who only wanted to complain about life. Instead, I started feeding my mind with books written by successful people. I started listening to educational programs. We started having conversations about ideas and possibilities instead of problems and limitations. The change was remarkable. Within just a few weeks, I noticed that my thinking had become clearer and more positive. I was seeing opportunities that I had missed before. I was coming up with solutions instead of dwelling on problems. My energy level increased. My confidence grew. All because I changed what I was feeding my mind. I developed what I call mental disciplines. These are simple practices that help me control my mind instead of letting my mind control me. Every morning, I spend time thinking about what I'm grateful for. This programs my mind to look for good things instead of problems. Every day, I visualize my goals as if they're already achieved. This keeps my mind focused on where I'm going instead of where I've been. Every evening, I review my day and ask myself 3 questions. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I do differently tomorrow? This helps me learn from every experience and continuously improve. These mental disciplines might seem simple, but they're incredibly powerful. They help me stay in control of my mental state instead of being controlled by whatever happens to me during the day. Here's another crucial point. You have to guard your mind like you would guard your most valuable possession, because that's exactly what it is. Your mind is your most valuable possession. It's more valuable than your house, your car, your bank account, or anything else you own, because everything else you have came from your mind first. But most people are careless with their minds. They let negative people dump their problems on them. They listen to pessimistic news all day long. They expose themselves to violent, depressing, or trashy entertainment. They hang around complainers and critics. And then they wonder why they feel so bad all the time. I learned to say no to negative input. When someone wants to complain to me about their problems, I redirect the conversation towards solutions. When someone wants to gossip or criticize others, I change the subject or walk away. When I'm tempted to watch negative news or entertainment, I choose something more constructive instead. This isn't about living in denial or ignoring reality. This is about protecting your most valuable asset. Your mind is like a computer. What you program into it determines what comes out of it. Program it with garbage and garbage comes out. Program it with excellence and excellence comes out. Mental control also means learning to use problems as training opportunities instead of letting problems defeat you. Every challenge you face is a chance to strengthen your mental muscles. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience. Every obstacle is a chance to develop problem-solving skills. But here's what most people don't understand about challenges and difficulties. They're not punishments. They're not evidence that life is unfair or that you're unlucky. They're training sessions. They're opportunities for growth. They're chances to prove to yourself what you're really made of. Think about it this way. If you wanted to build physical strength, you wouldn't avoid lifting weights because they're heavy. You'd lift them because they're heavy. The resistance is what makes you stronger. The difficulty is what develops your muscles. The challenge is what creates the growth. The same principle applies to your mind. Mental strength doesn't come from easy times. It comes from difficult times. It doesn't come from success. It comes from overcoming failure. It doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pushing through discomfort. I learned this lesson when I was struggling financially in my 20s. I could have looked at my situation and said, "This is terrible. Life is unfair. I'm a victim of circumstances." Instead, I chose to see it as my mental training ground. Every bill I couldn't pay became a lesson in financial discipline. Every rejection I faced became practice in persistence. Every failure became education in what doesn't work. This shift in perspective changed everything for me. Instead of feeling sorry for myself, I got excited about the growth opportunities. Instead of avoiding challenges, I started looking for them. Instead of hoping for an easy life, I started preparing for a meaningful life. Here's what successful people know that unsuccessful people don't. Your mind gets stronger by working against resistance, just like your muscles do. When you face a problem and work through it, your problem-solving ability increases. When you encounter fear and move through it anyway, your courage grows. When you experience failure and bounce back, your resilience develops. But if you avoid all problems, your mind stays weak. If you run from every challenge, your confidence remains low. If you quit at the first sign of difficulty, you never develop the mental toughness you need to succeed at anything worthwhile. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid all discomfort and difficulty. They want everything to be easy. They want success without struggle. They want rewards without effort. They want strength without training. But that's not how life works. That's not how growth happens. That's not how you develop the mental power to create an extraordinary life. Weak minds see problems and give up. Strong minds see problems and get excited because they know that solving problems is how you grow. Every problem you solve makes you stronger. Every challenge you overcome increases your confidence. Every obstacle you get past proves to yourself that you can handle whatever life throws at you. I've learned to ask different questions when problems arise. Instead of why is this happening, I ask what is this here to teach me? Instead of how can I avoid this, I ask how can I grow from this? Instead of this is terrible, I say this is interesting. How can I turn this into an advantage? This shift in thinking changes everything. When you see problems as opportunities, you start looking for solutions instead of reasons to quit. When you see challenges as training, you start getting stronger instead of weaker. When you see setbacks as setups for comebacks, you start bouncing back faster. Your mind needs regular exercise just like your body does. And the best exercise for your mind is solving problems, facing challenges, and pushing through difficulties. Every time you do something that requires mental effort, you're building mental strength. Every time you push through when you want to quit, you're developing mental toughness. Most people try to avoid all difficulties and challenges. They want life to be easy. But easy doesn't build strength. Easy doesn't develop character. Easy doesn't create confidence. You become strong by doing things that are hard. You develop confidence by doing things that scare you. You build character by doing what's right even when it's difficult. I started looking for ways to challenge myself mentally. I read books that stretched my thinking. I took on projects that required me to learn new skills. I set goals that seemed almost impossible, not because I enjoyed being uncomfortable, but because I knew that's how I would grow. The interesting thing about mental strength is that it compounds over time. Each small victory builds your confidence for the next challenge. Each problem you solve gives you evidence that you can solve problems. Each goal you achieve proves to yourself that you can achieve goals. But it works the other way too. Each time you give up, it becomes easier to give up next time. Each time you make excuses, it becomes easier to make excuses. Each time you choose the easy path, it becomes harder to choose the difficult path when it matters. That's why mental discipline is so important. It's not just about big moments. It's about small daily choices. It's about choosing to get up when your alarm goes off instead of hitting the snooze button. It's about choosing to exercise when you don't feel like it. It's about choosing to read something educational instead of watching mindless TV. It's about choosing to have a positive conversation instead of a negative one. These small choices might not seem important, but they're building your mental strength every single day. They're training your mind to be disciplined instead of lazy. They're teaching your mind that you're in control, not your emotions or circumstances. Your mind will either be your servant or your master. There's no middle ground. Either you control your mind or your mind controls you. Either you direct your thoughts or your thoughts direct you. The good news is that you have the power to choose. Right now, today, you can decide to take control of your mind. You can decide to become the master of your thoughts instead of being their slave. You can decide to direct your mental energy toward what you want. But here's the thing, this decision has to be made new every single day. You can't decide once and then forget about it. Mental discipline is not a destination you arrive at. It's a practice you maintain. It's a muscle you have to keep exercising. It's a skill you have to keep developing. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can let your mind run wild or you can take control of it. You can let negative thoughts dominate your thinking or you can choose positive thoughts. You can focus on problems or you can focus on solutions. You can worry about what might go wrong, or you can get excited about what might go right. It's a positive cycle that builds on itself. But it all starts with taking control of your mind. It all starts with the decision to become the master of your thoughts instead of their victim. The time to start is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when everything is perfect. Now, today, this moment. Because every moment you wait is a moment your mind is running without your control. Every day you postpone taking charge is another day your mind is in charge of you. Here's the truth about timing. There will never be a perfect time to start taking control of your mind. There will always be distractions. There will always be excuses. There will always be reasons to wait. But successful people don't wait for perfect conditions. They create perfect conditions through their actions. The moment you decide to take control of your mind is the moment your life begins to change. Not next month when you see results, not next year when you achieve your goals. Right now, in this very moment when you make the decision. Because that decision changes who you are. It changes how you see yourself. It changes what you believe is possible. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for someone else to change their circumstances. They wait for their boss to give them a raise. They wait for their spouse to make them happy. They wait for the economy to get better. They wait for the right opportunity to come along. But what they're really waiting for is permission to take control of their own lives. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need the decision to start and the commitment to continue. Every master of success started exactly where you are right now. With a decision, with a commitment, with the choice to take control of their mind instead of being controlled by it. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who have achieved great things. The ones who live extraordinary lives. The ones who seem to have it all figured out. What they all have in common is mental discipline. They learn to control their thoughts instead of being controlled by them. They learn to direct their focus instead of being distracted by every problem that came along. They learn to choose their mental state instead of being at the mercy of their circumstances. This same power is available to you right now, today. You don't have to be born with it. You don't have to inherit it. You don't have to be lucky enough to stumble upon it. You can develop it through practice. You can strengthen it through use. You can master it through consistency. Start small if you need to. Choose one negative thought pattern and replace it with a positive one. Choose one mental discipline and practice it every day. Choose one question you ask yourself regularly and make it a better question. Choose one source of negative input and eliminate it from your life. Small changes in your thinking create large changes in your life. The compound effect works with your mind just like it works with money. Small deposits of positive thinking made consistently over time create enormous returns in the quality of your life. You have everything you need to take control of your mind starting right now. You don't need special equipment. You don't need advanced training. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need the decision to start and the discipline to continue. Your future depends on the thoughts you think today. Your success depends on the mental habits you develop now. Your happiness depends on the questions you ask yourself regularly. Your entire life depends on whether you learn to control your mind before it controls you. But here's what I want you to understand about this journey. It's not a destination you arrive at once and then you're done. Mental mastery is a daily practice. It's a lifelong commitment. It's a choice you make new every single morning when you wake up. Some days will be easier than others. Some days your mind will feel clear and focused and positive. Other days it will feel cloudy and scattered and negative. The key is consistency. The key is showing up every day regardless of how you feel. The key is practicing mental discipline even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. That's what separates the masters from the amateurs. Amateurs only practice when they feel like it. Masters practice whether they feel like it or not. Amateurs let their feelings determine their actions. Masters let their commitments determine their actions. This is your chance. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to take control of the most important thing you'll ever control, your own mind. Everything else in your life will improve when you master this one skill. Your relationships will improve. Your finances will improve. Your health will improve. Your happiness will improve. Everything gets better when you learn to control your mind. The choice is yours. It always has been, and it always will be. Choose wisely. Choose today. Choose to become the master of your mind and the architect of your destiny. Remember, learn to control your mind before it controls you. Your life depends on it.